Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. We're featuring a Zenith today. Now, Zenith, I don't think I've ever reviewed before. I was lucky enough to own a Striking 10 limited edition many years ago, but for some reason I traded it in for another watch. I can't remember now, but what it was, but you know what it's like. You do these silly things and then you realise just how good these watches actually are. Now this I'm lucky enough to be able to review because one of my subscribers, Niall, actually it was in his collection and asked me if I wanted to review it, and I was like, yep, yes please. They're gorgeous watches, aren't they? The Zenith El Primero range is just so cool. They've had loads of rich history. One of the first chronograph movements. It's been used in the Rolex Daytona for many, many years. They did alter the beat rate somewhat in there, but you know, the Zenith Daytona is quite a famous watch in its own right. It is an absolutely stunning movement, and one of these I think you can just get lost looking at the movement. There's so much going on, and the way the light reflects off different wheels, it's superb. Now this one is the CHRONOMASTER El Primero Open, and you get the idea why with this exposed escape wheel there. What do you need to say more about it? We're talking 42mm case size by only 13mm thin. Now for a chronograph with 100 meters of water resistancy, that is truly impressive. That really is impressive. But the prices of these, I think on the bracelet here, you're talking around about £7,600, I think it is on their website. So that's the difference. When you want to start getting a thinner chronograph, you do have to spend a bit more money, and these are really, really nice. Now the lug to lug on this watch is 50.5, and the strap size is one of those peculiar 21mm. So anyway, let's zoom in and have a look at that dial. As I say, just look at it. It is stunning. I think this watch is just, it's got that kind of, the rest, what dial there is has that kind of timeless look to it. Now, obviously there is a lot going on here. We have this sunburst kind of, not like a vintage look, but the silver sunbursting does sort of like reminiscent of the 70s kind of style watches there. And then we have the different colour to the subdials. Now this is quite normal for the El Primero. Now you may only think we've got these two subdials, but actually there is technically a third subdial on there, because as you can see here, there is actually a minute track, and that is for seconds, constant running seconds. So all they've done is actually opened that up, but that would normally be your third subdial on there. But they've had to remove it, so you can see that absolutely gorgeous silicon escape wheel spinning round at its 36,000 hertz, so 10 beats per second. Just wow. So anyway, we do have nice applied hour markers with lume on them, and these beautiful polished hands. They are really, really good. My camera simply doesn't do them justice in here. It's one of those watches, again, outside you tend to pick up so much more detail. Now there is lume on this, but to be fair, it's not the brightest of looms. I will say that it is, it is good, but it's obviously not designed as a dive watch to have really bright lume there. But I love how they've got this open section here, incredibly well polished. These amazing blued screws holding that piece down to the dial, and then you actually get to see the beautiful brass wheels, but more importantly you get to see that silicon escape wheel with the silicon pallet fork there. So basically you're talking, normally you'd have to put lubrication on the exit stone, but on this, as it's all silicon, you do not require any lubrication on there at all, which is rather good, because honestly you wouldn't believe the difference the lubrication does make, and it does eventually start to fade, where on this it's silicon against silicon, no problems at all. But it also makes the watch more anti-magnetic, which is always a good thing. Now as we see, this is actually, you've got a tri kind of rotor thing going on here for your seconds. So it's one of these, it's a bit of a strange one really, because counting the seconds is a bit strange, because you only have a counter from 3 o'clock round to about 8 o'clock there. So that's the only way of counting the seconds on your standard running seconds for a time. Now, one thing I would point out, let's actually see the chronograph in action. Look at that. That is 10 beats per second. That is very cool. So normally, you may wonder what I'm going on about, but even a Daytona only beats at 8 beats per second. Most chronographs are 8 beats per second. So this is just that little bit more fluid, how it goes around there. Plus you've got the more, you tend to have more markers between the seconds because you can actually read it. So it's little touches like that. I love that bright red second hand with the star on there. I think it looks so cool. And when it comes to actual details as well, on the it's hard to see on this, but the actual spinning skate wheel there has got a star on it, and obviously the star is the Zenith El Primero kind of thing here. Let's watch as it clicks over there. Let's see how it goes, and smack, dead on. Really, really good. Let's do a reset. Solid. No, really, really nice. You do have a sapphire crystal on this, raised up at the side. Very nice. Now, on the sides, you do... Now, remember, this is a used watch here, so all polished on the sides. Very, very nice. I love the detail work along here. I think they've really kind of made it look good. The chamfering, the brushwork, it is very, very sharp. They've done such a good job of it there. The pushers, all nice. The crown is signed. It isn't a screw down crown. So also one thing to be aware of, if I pull the crown out there, it doesn't have a hacking function. So even though I can set the time there, the actual second hand, or hands, you could say, do not stop. That's my only downside, I would say, with the El Primero. It would be nice to have a hacking function on there, but that's the way it is. So push that in. Now, as we come round to the back of the watch, just wow. It's just so blooming complicated back there. There is so much going on, so many tiny gears interlocking, doing their things. I think it's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful movement. It really is a nice one. Now, I did put it on the time grapher. Now, it came out absolutely stunning. I think it was pretty well 0 on the time grapher. I think 0.1 beat rate error, that was about it. Now, the movement itself is the newer 4061. Now, why I say that's newer, that's because it does have the silicon balance wheel and pallet fork. So that's what is the actual difference between the older El Primero movements. It comes with 50 hours worth of power, and you've got 31 joules. I say this is a 100 meter water resistancy to it as well. But it's just a cracking movement. I think it's really, really nice. Now, as we come out here, the bracelet is a very nice kind of simple kind of design. It does look nice, I must admit. All screwed all the way up, which I think just makes life easy. If ever you were to badly scratch one of the links, it's much easier to take it out and swap it over. Now, as you can see, they are all screwed. It is slightly, as you run your fingers across though, because you've got that kind of angle there, it does feel a tiny bit sharp through, but you don't notice it while it's on the wrist at all. You can get these on a leather strap. Now, this one has got the butterfly clasp, and it does have the Zenith and the star on there, which just looks great. Let's zoom out and actually try it on the wrist. Quick wrist check. I'm wearing a Oris 65 diver on the bracelet. This is the very first gen model of this, and I personally think the best 65 diver I've ever done. Mr. Bob, what do we have there? Oh, Nomos. Very nice, sir. You're just, yeah, that looks good. I like that one. So let's try this on. My wrist size is 7¼ inches. So let's try it. Fortunately, Niall's got a similar wrist size to me, so it is quite good straight off the bat. And doesn't that look good? Look how low it is. Considering that is a complex chrono, it's incredibly thin. Now, you can't get this thinness if you are to use a 7750 based chronograph. You're always going to be talking round about 14 plus millimeters all the way up to 17 mil. and this is just so low slung on the wrist. I think it looks absolutely stunning. Anyway, I'm going to leave you to it, chaps, and any questions, leave them in the comments below, and most importantly, stay safe out there. Bye.